Welcome to Cup of Jess, where the coffee's hot, the truth is hotter, and we're spilling all the real, raw business moves no one talks about. No fluff, just facts. Let's get into it. And welcome to A Cup of Jess. Today, I'm introducing Edwin, the account manager at SAS, but not only an accountant, but my brother. Welcome, Edwin.
Well, thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be here with you.
Is it really an honor?
Well, no, yes, it is. I'm actually, I wanted to tell you how proud I am of what you're doing here and how far we've gotten because of you.
Thank you. I wouldn't be able to do it without you. So,
and for the record, this is as nice as I'm gonna get. So cherish it.
Well, cheers to that. Cheers. A little bit about what we're gonna be talking today is one, working with family, money tips, and what happens behind the scenes at SAS. So first of all, tell us a little bit about you. I know everybody sees you on social media, sees your work as your CFO reports, but tell me a little bit about Edwin.
Well, I mean, what can I tell you? You know me, right? So I'm always working, whether it's out of the country or out of the state, I'm always working. But I try to keep, my life a little more entertaining, whether it's, staying at home and cooking or going to the gym twice a day. Of course, work takes most of my time. I'm always either working or even weekends during tax season. So you know how it gets.
Or working out. So that is your life. I have to admit that you're a very disciplined person, and I admire that of you. But tell us a little bit about your background, because I know you, but our followers don't know you.
Yeah, so pretty much, my life starts at 4:30 a.m. every morning, right? So 4:30 is when I wake up. It's always a drag because everybody's like, how do you make it to the gym so early? I just don't even think about it. I just wake up, brush up and just head to the gym. Right after that, I'm running because I have to either make my breakfast with no carbs because I'm in a carb deficit. I'm trying to train for boxing if you guys are interested in watching. Hopefully the next fight is coming soon. But from there on, head straight to the office, deal with clients all day, making sure that, everybody's following what I'm telling them to do, on the accounting side of things.
Okay. So let us know a little bit about your degree.
So
a bit more high school.
Yeah. So
college.
Backtracking, I went to college for finance, right? Got my degree in finance, but I'm obviously not doing anything with finance, but it does tie into accounting, right? So pretty much with the accounting and finance, I'm able to kind of recommend or send recommendations to clients and let them know, hey, tax season's coming around, right? So we got to prepare for all these steps, right? So the best way to do it is we have to make sure that, you're following what we're recommending you to do. We try not to give legal advice because we're not authorized to, but whenever we're doing all these accounting, what do you call them? Like steps that we set up for the clients, we want to prepare them to bigger and better things because accounting is just making sure you're tracking your expenses, your income. But then when it comes to your finances, investments, that's a whole different ballgame. That's a whole different thing that people don't understand and don't want to understand because they think it's a scam. And I feel like a lot of people are missing out in better investments just because they don't have the right mindset to speak to somebody that's gonna guide them the right way.
Okay. And what do you think is the biggest advantage of working with family? You can be honest.
No, the advantages that I see working with family is, of course, we build that rapport, the trust. Obviously, when we were younger, we used to always fight, right? But now
we can go back to that as I am 6 years older than you. And I can say that there's a lot of stories when we used to fight and we would always be fighting. But honestly, like I was listening to this podcast this morning as well, you know, and talking about family. It's like we do have our mom and dad, but even though we're siblings, we grew up in different phases of our parents, right? Like I could say like, okay, I grew up while my parents had 2-3 jobs and I had to go and stay somewhere else to be taken care of. Now you were born and it's like, okay, now I'm taking care of you. And then we're fighting all the time.
I took care of myself, for the record.
He thinks he took care of himself. But while my mom was taking English classes, right? So,
our mom.
My mom.
Our.
Okay. Mom. So I feel like there's a lot of people that come and tell me, hey, how is that you guys work together, you and your brothers? You guys make a powerful team. But for me, I feel like we have that line of business and family.
Well, it's,
I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I agree. It depends. It depends how the people are, right? Because there's a lot of people, siblings, or even parents that try to work together and it doesn't work out. But I feel like with us, we're a whole different, person, right? So you're focused more on sales and client relationships. I still deal with clients, but on a different level, right? I do more of the operations, managing the team, making sure that things are getting done, right? You on the other hand you have an important role, but you know how to do that, and you stick to that. You don't try to come over and do accounting, right?
Correct.
I try to go and sell, of course. There's times where, of course, you come in, you get the deal or vice versa, but we try to stick to our profession, right? And I feel like that's how we make it a great team, because a lot of people like to see your social media, the way you talk to them, whatever. And on the other hand, I like to kind of sweeten their ear up a little bit. Hey, this is how you're going to save in taxes a little bit. But obviously, it all depends on how they manage their finances too.
But let's be honest. What makes you mad? What things that I do?
Oh man, everything.
I mean, say something like, okay.
So for example, when we're talking to the same client, you tell them one thing and I tell them the exact opposite.
I was thinking the same thing.
I'm like, dude, no.
I'm more of like,
who told you this?
Yeah,
Yesenia
we'll
said.
It together. Like, what? You're late on your taxes? Don't worry, we'll take care of you. And you're like, no, like there's a penalty. Now you have to pay interest.
Straight up, this is how it is. Yesenia's not gonna save you. She's not gonna come and save you or pay your taxes for you. No. If she told you that, I'm sorry, but this is how it's going to be done. This is how it needs to go, because if not, these are the consequences.
Well, those are the growing pains that we're working together. Now I try to communicate the same language to the clients, so we're not in the
but we're at the point where we work together, and thank God we
established a system too.
Right. We have a system, we have a team that supports us. Now, you can phase out a little bit more. Wow. I don't even know how I ended up in this role, but I'm over here managing the whole team, making sure things are getting done timely. There's processes and procedures we follow. So I feel like we're doing pretty good.
What is the hardest part though?
The hardest part, when you go on vacation and everybody just comes and asks for you, they don't want to deal with us. They're like, hey, I want to see Yesenia. And I'm like, dude, everything that you come and tell her, she tells me, and I have to do the work for you.
Correct. Just FYI. He is the account manager. What is a story, going back to sibling time, like, when we were little, a story that has been in your mind or that, like, that you would want to share?
Wow. Well, we have so many, but I think they're a little embarrassing. So the thing is that when we were growing up, apparently you used to take care of me. I feel like we were like, when two countries are fighting each other for peace.
Well, that was Chinese calendar, not Chinese, but Chinese calendar, I'm a snake and you're a pig.
What does that mean?
They don't get along.
But what are there like specific traits?
I don't know. In the Chinese calendar, that's what it means. But
that's funny.
But tell us the story.
But okay, so for example, when we were little, we used to live in, the apartment complexes. It wasn't really, it was kind of a ghetto area, but now it's way
Don't
better.
say what area, because we don't.
So, but now, like those times were whenever, we used to kind of do our own little thing. You would be with your friends and I would be with mine. So what I remember is you always being with your girlfriends, and I always wanted to be around because, of course, they were pretty girls, At my age, I was 2-3 years old, but I still, I saw that your friends were.
No, you're like 4 or 5. Probably.
4 or 5. But you would always bring them around. And then one time I remember you're like, hey, let's go get some ice cream. I'm like, okay, well, I was showering and then I was in my boxers as a little kid and you just rode your bike with me through the whole freaking neighborhood. For what? I
don't even remember that.
Just embarrassed me for no reason. And then your girlfriends were out there. Like, dude.
I don't remember that one, but that's a good one that you remember.
I remember so many others, but I'm not gonna,
Yeah, like that time that you called the cops on me while I was taking care of you, 18-year-old Yesenia, trying to help him.
Okay, so behind that is because you were fighting with me. And funny story, now that, nobody knew at the time, but we used to stay alone together. We were you were 10, I was 4.
Yeah, like
11, and then 6. she just decides to come over and just for no reason just smack me or just bully me. Or sometimes just, I don't know why.
Me a bully?
Yeah.
No.
And then I just had to call the cops on her. And then luckily, my aunts lived
in the same apartment complex, so they came, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And we just called the cops on me.
Yeah, I was like, "Stop bullying me!" It's not cool.
Well, what about like you walking out the door, walking down Blaylock all the way to Fiesta, whatever it was used to be there, trying to go like?
Well, I would get candy because apparently, my mind says like, okay, there's candy at the store, and they give it out for free. So I'm like, okay, well, let me go get some candy and then come back, until I got caught because of you,
I was trying to save your life, but here we are.
Yeah, no, my mom,
So for the ones that don't know, Edwin is the favorite child. So as I like to tell my parents, he is one of, he's the one that graduated from college, and they're proud and joy. So
well, in my defense, I bond more with my parents, right? So both my dad and my mom, or our parents, right? Mom and dad, right? Because I'm more, I guess, emotionally or physically, I don't know. I'm more attached to them. I'm always like figuring out or wondering what they're doing. I'm on top of what their day to day is. I conversate with them. You on the other hand,
I'm very different.
You're your grandkids. I'm leaving.
Bye.
Yeah. So
awesome. Well, whenever we're working together, what do you think that we work together best because we're siblings, or do you think we work together better because of what our roles are?
I believe we work better because of our roles, right? So like I mentioned, I feel like you need me and I need you, right? Because you're like the face of the company. You go out and get all these clients organically, right? To me, they're more like references. Like, hey, for example, client XYZ, they're like, hey, I'm sending you this client over, because I like how you do your accounting, or how you're, sending us reports and recommending, situations on what to do when we're at a low budget, right? You go out, you pitch them, you bring them in. And I feel like that is what makes a good team, because you need a salesperson, but you also need the operations side. And I feel like that's what makes a good team.
And speaking about that, let's dig in more into how bookkeeping saves a lot of time and how it makes your work easier.
So it doesn't necessarily make our work easier per se, but we have to do it just because, of course, at the end of the year, everybody's coming to pay or to file their tax returns, right? One thing that a lot of people don't know, or a lot of business owners don't really understand, is that, yeah, bookkeeping or accounting could seem very simple to do. Yeah, if it was simple, everybody would do it right, but everybody
And that's where it comes in place, because I'm more of a, yeah, we'll take care of you. And you're like the bad person.
Exactly.
Hey,
so
like, where's your receipts? Where's your P&L? And
then sometimes it works, sometimes you just have to be straight up. I'm sorry if I hurt some feelings. I know I've hurt people's feelings. I'm sorry, but I have to be straight up with you. Either I do it or the IRS is going to do it. And of course, you don't want the IRS doing it, because once that happens, you're going to come back crying and saying, hey, I got this letter that I owe $50,000. What do I do? You don't know what to do, and we can't do anything for you. Now, it doesn't make our life easier, but it makes the client's life easier. Why? Because not only do you have to file a tax return, but you need to understand where your business stands, which is what a lot of people don't even know. They're like, hey, I'm making a lot of money because I am depositing all this cash into the bank. I'm like, are you okay? You're depositing all this cash, but what about your expenses? What are you writing off? Oh, well, I go to the nail salon. That's a write-off. Or I got my boobs done. That's a write-off. Okay.
Which is not. Yeah,
which
they're
is not.
Still fighting it in the court of law.
I don't want to point fingers and I don't want to name names, but I feel like I need to throw it out there. Everybody that thinks that you can get a lipo or whatever, your boobs done, you can't write that off.
I must admit that we do have OnlyFans clients.
Yeah.
And they do have all these write-offs.
They have particular write-offs.
Communicate with them and tell them, like, hey, this job that you did is not a write-off.
So you just need to understand, if you can wear it outside of work, it's not a write-off. So if you're wearing your boobs after you're done filming, you're not writing that off, right? So I just have to be straight out. You can't do that, right?
Right.
So from there, like, you need to...
You don't sugarcoat it.
I don't sugarcoat it. You have to be straight up with them, because if not, if you're beating around the bush, they're gonna think, well, okay, I'm gonna go to Zara and buy some clothes. Well, no, like, it needs to be specifically, and there's rules and regulations in the IRS, and you can look this up in the IRS website, that states what can be written off as a uniform, or what can be written off as a actual business clothing, to be able to deduct that in your taxes. Now, going back to the bookkeeping part, right? All these people that are running their OnlyFans or their transportation business or media, whatever it is, it's important that they understand what their income is and what their expenses are going to be. Why? Because you need to understand if your business is going to be, if it's going to be making money within, the long term. Right? So 5-10 years from now, where are you going to be at with your business? Or is it going to fail the next year? Because if you have all this income and you have more expenses than your income, you're just, you're at a loss. And what are you reporting to the IRS? Losses. And when the IRS catches on to that, they're going to be like, well, how are you making all this money and you have all these losses?
And this is why we're so strict about this, because not only we're trying to have everything in order for the client, but also if in case of an audit. Like, I always tell clients, like, if you get an audit and everything's in order, there shouldn't be a problem. There's going to be audits. It's just, randomly, or if there's red flags in your tax return. That's why it's so important for you to go with a professional. And at SAS, we can give you that solution. Another thing is that one advice that you would give a new business owner?
So an advice I would give, or a recommendation,
or that you see a lot of, is the problems.
The problem is that it's not necessarily a problem, but it would help them better if they have a team in place. If they have a financial advisor, it could be a CPA or just an accountant. A lot of people think that just because you do accounting, you're a CPA. It's, no. But as long as you have a great accountant in your team, and a great banker, I think you're set, right? Because these are important, vital pillars that you need, right? Because they need to guide you in a way where, for example, if you're starting your business, you need to understand, okay, well, what are my profit margins, or how much of my cost of goods sold should I be, spending on or investing if I'm starting a construction business, right? Now, once you're done with all of that, all your expenses, you need a financial advisor to tell you, hey, look, let's plan for this, or let's invest here. Let's put your money to work in these areas, So it's important to understand and have these people in your team, because you just don't want to stay stagnant. You want to keep growing. Of course, that's the goal that everybody should have.
Absolutely. And now that we spoke a little bit about money, about you as my sibling, and going back to days, what is Edwin doing now? I know you are an investor. I know you are a business owner. What do you think now that you're a business owner as well? What has been one of the biggest challenges that you were like, oh, shoot, I didn't know about this?
Well, there's a lot. And from experience, I feel like, everybody's going to make a mistake here or there, a wrong investment. I feel like sometimes there are moments where I feel like I wish I would have been told instead of just jumping and doing it. But then that defeats the purpose of risking, taking a risk, right? Because there's a lot of things that I've done, that I've risked, that I've gotten rewarded for, but there's a lot of risks that I've taken that, of course, that's hit me. And it's like it brings you down morally, but that doesn't mean that you need to stay down there. Like, I feel like if I would have had a mentor to kind of just, give me a second opinion, things would probably have turned out differently. Now, with the different ventures that I've started, they're going great. They're going great. So it's just a lot of hard work. And another nice thing I'm going to say about you is, if I probably would have never started if I would have never seen you do this, set up a whole accounting firm, start helping people, because that motivated me to try to push for more.
Well, as you know, I am paving the way, not only for you guys, but for my kids. It's just something that I don't consider myself selfish. And I feel like, as we spoke in another show with Oscar, was that our parents came to this country, and I feel like it is my responsibility to do something better than what they did, right? Because they already did the part of coming to this country, leaving their family, leaving their country. And now it's like, it is our role to take it to the next level. Like, for me, it is so sad whenever people come to the country, work, and then their kids are just like doing nothing. Like, there's no motivation, ambition. So I am just, going forward and making sure that everything that we do, it is something that it's going to be impactful and also leaving a legacy. It might seem like I'm all like cool and groovy, but like, obviously we all go through stuff. And, but I do want to mention that I wouldn't be able to do what I do now without you guys. And I know it's like, it sounds, so, because it does take it takes a team. Like, if you don't have the proper team in place, there's no success. Like, It's just, I couldn't do it by myself. And also, for me, I feel like with you and Marcos, my expectations are higher, like, because we have to take care of the business. We have to take care of the business, our reputation, and making sure that the work and our work ethic shows the results, what we're giving to the community. And I'm very big about that. You know me, leadership and community engagement and all that stuff.
Well, we're making it to the top, so it just takes time, but we'll get there.
We're already there. I do want to say thank you so much for stepping away from your desk, doing accounting, and joining me at a cup of Jess. Cheers.
Cheers.
I want to say that I love you, even though, you know, in the Hispanic world, this
is how we hug.
Yes.
What's up, dude?
Yes.
That's how we say hi. That's how we say bye.
This is a reminder to go tell your loved ones that you love them. So, again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
am going to put his information as well. So if you guys want to do a consultation or anything like that, you can also reach out to Edwin. So thank you so much. And we will see you next at A Cup of Jess.